Today, you could become part of Antec Symphony. You see what I did there? Good afternoon, welcome to Turbo Tortoise Tech. If you're new here, I'm Reese, the 4-piece Rancy or Wookie Triple XL. And I do apologize for my drama teacher, Nick Beard review. They've lost my water somewhere again, and somehow we've run out of water again. This is now day 11 in the last 2 months, so it's going well. We're not stinky here at all. But you know what isn't stinky is this great new budget cooling line from Antec. They've honestly done an incredibly good job to keep the quality up. They've done a slower pump. That's the only thing that they've really stepped back on, and everything else, the price point comes through like really good quality and bang for buck. So let's start off with what's in the box. Well, obviously you get the cooler, and for the first time ever, I unpacked a cooler that had fans attached to it. So I just want to give Antec a round of applause on that one, because it was really nice that the fans were already attached. That's why it's in this orientation and not the one that I generally do. I just wanted to test it like as they packed it out of the box, because their intention is for you to top mount it, and it's absolutely perfect. So Antec, honestly, 10 out of 10 they're on. You couldn't have done a better job. The fittings and stuff are super good. Everything's nicely anodized, looks absolutely fantastic. And you'll notice all of the CPU bracket mounts are actually spring loaded, which is exactly what we want to see, because you don't want to have too much pressure like with this Corsair when I first got it and put it on. Unfortunately, because those aren't spring loaded, I have actually scratched some of the face of the pump over here, of the connecting plate, as you'll see on the bottom over there. When LJ1700 came out, they made a quick plan so that we could mount it, but you had to be a little bit careful, and unfortunately your boys got gorilla grip out here. So yeah, we may have just tightened it a little bit too much and damaged that one, but you won't have that problem with the Antec. And the pump actual face itself is really nicely lapped and polished. It's super smooth on there. You'll see with a nice little close-up I've got. And the fans are also really nice. They actually have rubber mounting on each of the corners. Just that tiny little strip over there is going to stop any rattling and vibration, which is exactly what we like to see. They also include a couple of extra little washers and stuff which you can put between the radiator and the case, which are then rubberized again. And everything is like that. The little connectors that hold the back plate in are like that. The standoffs that sit underneath the screw caps on this side. And mounting and setup honestly was kind of easy. I gotta be real. I wouldn't see you needing an extra set of hands to get it done. So good job on that. Fans as well, just daisy chained into one connector. Same thing with RGB, just daisy chained one into the other, into the RGB, the header then. And I mean, just look at that pump face. It came out really nicely. They made an incredibly pretty looking thing. Now, like I said with the pump, that's the only drawback, no, not drawback, but the only thing that they did to cut budget so they could get this cooler at a lower price, because this is pretty much the cheapest 360 that's not on special. Like on an everyday price, this is going to be one of the cheapest 360 rads you can get. And for the first time in forever of doing these tests, I had some really strange but kind of cool and interesting data at the same time. So like I said, this is a 2400 RPM pump. It's pretty quiet. You will get a little bit of pump whine and stuff from it, but it's not bad. Even standing at this distance, I can barely hear it. So if it was in your case, you're probably not going to hear anything. The fans are super quiet. Once you go to 25% to 50% fan curve, there's almost no difference, which is really good because you're getting over 800 RPM and 50% fan curve. And then 75, there's a 5 dB bump, and then full chat, there's another 5 dB bump. So you're going to hit about 50, which is really acceptable. Honestly, it's not sounding like an absolute tornado next to you. Even just listening to a voice on my phone went over 55. So to give you an idea of like how quiet 50 is, it's still pretty good. And that's bullet points of the presentation for these fans is the fans are pretty damn good. There's not much difference between a 50% fan curve and 100%. But with our standardized testing, we let it go as high as it needed to go. Well, basically to, I think it was 80% fan curve, or just under 50, or just under 100%, which we did with the H100, which is what it's going to be competing up against. Now, on the surface of things, you might go, well, that's not really a fair test, just based on size and dimensioning. And yes, there is more surface area here, but a slower pump. That's 2400 RPM. This sucker hits nearly 3200. So I would average it at about 3100 RPM. So 700 RPM faster than our test pump in the Antec over here. And this actually demands a higher price point. So if you're looking at price versus performance, then the Antec might start to make sense. Anyway, the reason I say this is such weird and anomalous data is I'll now pull up the clock speed area, because you may have noticed on the average temperatures that it was actually slightly worse. But now on the clock speed, it was 170 megahertz faster in some areas, which is not a small amount. Usually they are quite comparable in that regard, and this is one of the first times I've ever done this test, and it's been like that. Plus, I tested it later in the day, so it would have been a bit warmer, obviously towards noon when things are getting a bit hot from the sun beating the earth for 6 hours, compared to like, what, I think it was 8:45 in the morning. So it was quite early when I did the Corsair H100 test. So it would have been a slightly higher ambient temperature. I mean, it's quite a warm day. I'll put up the ambience for where I am. My studio is not that hot. It's quite well shielded from the sun with all the blackout curtains and stuff. So I don't think that would have been the ambient. You could probably say it's about at least 5 degrees centigrade lower than that in the room, but it would be a lot hotter. I mean, you're probably looking at like an 8-degree increase at least in ambient temperature over the day. So take that with a pinch of salt, but at the same time, it got higher clock speeds. And you honestly don't need fan curve. The difference between 50 and 100% is almost negligible on the actual performance, because its bottleneck isn't these fans. These fans are incredibly good. It's actually the pump head itself at 2400 RPM. But that pump head also has like insane life. I did a calculation. The expected lifetime of 70,000 hours. You're probably looking at like 7 years and change. So yeah, they're pretty confident in it, and you get a 3-year warranty for a 1899 cooler. The 240 is also available. I think it's 1599. So pretty damn cheap for what you get. I would say obviously the 360 is like really good value. And if you've got a top mount setup where you can slap in a 360, this will be one of the easiest installs of your life. I can guarantee you that. The way that they did the install bracket and stuff on this, super easy, straightforward. Like, it's a very standard type of setup, but it works, and it works damn well. And I love that they are spring mounted as well. Just gonna save your CPU from cracking like Jacob Zuma's head on an egg. What? I don't even know where that came from. I do apologize to all you viewers, but what I don't apologize for is this review. So I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, please do hit us up with a like and subscribe, and I will see you on the flip side.
I thought I was doing okay.